meeting to order, and as always, we will start with the prayer. Heavenly Father, grant that we who would seek to serve you may have the wisdom of your Spirit, the guiding of your hand, and the grace to serve together for the prosperity of our city. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. National Anthem.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil and wealth of toil. Our home is girt by sea, our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing advance Australia fair. Beneath our radiant Southern Cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this Commonwealth of ours renowned of all the lands. For those who've come across the seas with boundless plains to share, with courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, and let us sing advance Australia
Item 1, attendance and apologies. Everyone's here. So, nil. Item 2, Councillor's leave of absence. Councillors, I move that a leave of absence be granted to myself, Mayor Tom Tate, for the 864 full council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, 17th of February 2026. Second, thank you, Councillor Peter Young. Anyone want to speak against? Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against? Motion carried unanimous. Condolences, it's nil. Mayoral Minutes. Right. First one, councillors, I move to closed, and didn't bring my glasses, but that's all right. Commercial matters, and the words are on the screen, councillors. Seconder, Councillor Tozer. All in favour, show of hands. Against? Motion carry. Mrs. Theo, you have to cause the gallery to be on. Mr. CEO, if you can get Officer to allow the gallery to be open. In the interim, councillors, I read the motion that Council approved the signing of a sister city agreement as per attachment 1. Anyone want to speak against? Then I put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carry, unanimous. And that's that one. Council, I've got 4.2, Flexi Skip. Just got to find it. Here I am. Councillors, I move that all councillors be authorised to allocate an additional $10,000 from the 2025-26 divisional budgets towards providing additional Flexi Skip services for their residents. There's quite a bit of preamble there, councillors, but this council basically will give time, really, for more Flexi Skip in, if you wish, in your area. And I did make comment in there that that it would be good, if you want to raise any future amendments at Water Waste Energy Committee to review the policy, and with that, perhaps take it with the next special budget quarterly review. If you want additional funds, that can be done there as well, so that that this Mayoral Minute basically reacts to the need of some councillors, and this should suffice. But I'll open up for suggestions and things. Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and let me start by saying I am supportive of what you are presenting today within your Mayoral Minute. I just wanted to inquire, given this direction that we're going down the path of and some additional information that has arisen as part of this discussion, would you be amenable perhaps in your Mayoral Minute today to potentially increase that upper threshold, notwithstanding exactly what you've just said, that this will be a choice of individual councillors should they wish to go down this path. And of course, when we get to those important budget deliberations for the 26-27 budget, we can look to do further for the service in that respect. So I just wanted to ask whether that would be considered.
What amount were you had in mind?
Mr. Mayor, whether you'd be amenable perhaps to, I know some councillors, and again, only some in some instances, would look to seek to maybe even look at 20,000, whether that would be considered. Once again, this would only be if those councillors who wish to do so. This isn't forcibly upon them, it's just simply a choice I wish they would be able to go down the path of. Okay,
let's just ask the CEO. Mr. CEO, if I to amend Mayoral Minute to 20,000, and let's assume councillors, majority of councillors at 10 would want to implement that to the full amount. Operationally, can you, no point moving a motion that the administration struggled to deliver, and that's what my question is. Mr. CEO, through you or whoever?
Yeah, that's why I've asked the Director stroke EGM to come and sit forward, so just because he was on his way.
Director, can you
implement a $20,000 increase?
Yes, through the Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. I think we can. I think the numbers would be, if every council, so 14 councillors put up their hand, and it's around $175 to $180 per bag.
But you forget one more. I got one too.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. I think the number would be about $840 if it was $10,000 per piece, so that would be up to about $1,700, which I think we and Aquadex could handle.
Okay. The other question I'll ask is, let's say I've directed my amount because I want to help a certain area where it's a cross-border between two divisions, and I've said, look, I want it to spend there. And of course, a council will go, well, I don't want my LAW spent outside my local area works. So you got the mechanism to run like 15 individual projects to make sure that the money's quarantined within that division?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the way the system is currently designed, the councillor's local office determines where it gets spent, so they do the checks about it happening in their division or not. So we'd propose that would continue to be an impost on us and our contractor, but we think we can do it.
All right, Councillor, because the request is not compulsory, in other words, it would meet some who may need to spend the 20 until committee review and all that. I would amend my mayoral minute to 20,000 councillors. Councillor Gates.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think it makes sense for councillors to be able to determine what their needs might be, but maybe we could list it as an item for review at the March budget review so that we can monitor how it's going. And
I'll do a directive to the CEO to do that, Mr. CEO.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
I'll consider that the direction. Mr. Mayor.
All right, that's a directive there. Everyone witnesses that. Well, yeah, my directive can be verbal. So, Councillor Gates, so we'll do that, and really to some area with a lot of high rise and that you may want to spend your law differently than skip, and some other areas may want to spend a full amount, but it gives you time to debate in committee. In budget, we get into budget season, so that the idea of this mayoral minute is to actually help the councillor who needs the utilisation of that, but at the same time gives time that I would rather see this item be discussed at the committee level, and then and from there more reports and things can be done with input from the administration so that we can deliver value for money. Okay. Councillor Tozer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a mechanism, through you perhaps to the Director, is there a mechanism by which unsuccessful visits to the ordering page can be tracked so we know what the quantum of whole of city, over demand is?
Director.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, there is. So we're currently recording numbers of hits that are unable to secure a bag, and we continue to do that. We're trying to break that down by division now.
Is there a mechanism by which that tracking could somehow waitlist or identify unsuccessful applications? I just appreciate we're about to move into a season now where some residents in the city who have a councillor who has surplus funds in their local area works will be able to accommodate waste needs, and then other councillors who maybe have ideological views or perhaps don't have surplus funds in their divisional works will not. And I think it'd be interesting to all councillors to be able to track quite specifically perhaps the street locations of those people who have applied but were unsuccessful because the quota has been exhausted. Is it possible, is my question.
We're working on that at the moment. So at the moment we have the numbers are available, their addresses are not. That's a software issue we're working on.
Could I ask then, could the numbers be provided to councillors perhaps today or this week, at least in the first instance, just so we can see a bit of an idea of how many people are, like we can quantify demand?
Through Mr. Mayor, we can absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone speak against the motion? Councillor Curtis.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to speak against it, but I would wonder if you would accept some commentary from the Chair of Water, Waste and Energy just on this topic in general.
Yes, please.
Great. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. And responding to community feedback undoubtedly is a critical aspect and like perhaps the most important aspect of our role as elected representatives. So I would like to take the opportunity to re-highlight the outcomes of the waste management plan engagement activities that were undertaken in late 2024. They went on to inform our Towards Zero Waste strategy. Councillors may recall that that consultation activity was actually the second most popular of all surveys conducted by the city in 2024. 4,644 residences responded. Importantly, they represented a statistically valid cross-section of our communities, including different housing types, demographics, renters, owners, and importantly, from all locations. As part of that consultation, it was flagged with residents that under our current funding models, everyone pays a standard fee for waste management. When they were asked how they would prefer we attribute those costs, the majority responded that they would prefer to only pay for the waste that they generate. Fast forward only a year later, and I find it quite extraordinary that we are debating the merits of further supplementing a $2.5 million program that is paid for by the entire rate base, despite the fact it's currently only eligible to 63% of our residents and accessed by about 6%. When we resolved to place a cap on the program as chair of the relevant committee, I believed we were doing so for two critical reasons. One, it was the financially responsible thing to do, to stay within our allocated budget and not compromise core council services. But number two, it also provided an opportunity to start having some uncomfortable conversations with our residents about what a shift in funding model might look like for those that are accessing these types of services. When we made that plan, we did so under the assumption that we would only likely be dealing with those that would naturally attempt to access the service towards the end of that financial year. Obviously, recent media attention has sparked a scarcity issue that has exacerbated that demand beyond what we anticipated. I therefore understand your move, Mr Mayor, of introducing this Mayoral Minute, as it does allow us to, and allows councillors that wish to signal their support towards the program, but it also doesn't negate our responsibility to start having those conversations to align with the direction that was given to us by the entire community. For those reasons, that's why I'll be supporting the Mayoral Minute. I agree that 10,000, and at this stage, after more media attention, 20,000 is unlikely to cover the deficit. However, it's my real belief that as councillors, it's not our responsibility to respond to the people that are bashing on our doors, emailing us, or filling up our news feeds. It's to the entire Gold Coast population, and they set really clear direction for us just over 12 months ago. And I'd encourage my colleagues to consider that also.
Yeah, so, okay. Speaking against?
Well, I wasn't going to, Mr Mayor, but I would seek your indulgence to counter a couple of points made by Councillor Curtis very briefly, but I will be supporting the motion. I think the couple of things that I just want to counter there is that in the Governance Committee, it was allocated as a cap from November to June. A cap was a specific number. That specific number in January is under the cap. That specific number in every month to the end of June is under what the resolution at the time put forward. That's the council resolution that we're talking about. It wasn't the wastewater. Wastewater energy was deferred to GAF. So with all due respect, I don't know that current situation is being addressed here, but I don't know that is a relevant point. The other thing I'd say, Mr Mayor, in relation to some numbers that Councillor Tozer raised a few moments ago, I sent this around to councillors on the weekend. The EGM just outlined here, we'll send them through because they've already been sent through. So just, we're talking about a demand in January, around 4,000. And we're talking about a demand in December of 3,700. That's, a portion that missed out and a portion that got it. I think we've got to be expecting that that's going to compound every month. When people miss out, they get told to try again next month. There'll be more people trying next month. So this resolution, Mr Mayor, I welcome your leadership here because it does resolve it. And I think Councillor Wilkinson changing it to 20 only if a councillor... He didn't change it. Sorry, Mr Mayor. Miss Councillor Wilkinson's suggestion to 20 does help get you further through to the year, as that compounding request for bags could potentially keep going, and means that we don't have to deal with this again until the budget when we deal with it, which is quite right. And I think the final thing I'd like to just say that, again, in support of this motion, because it deals with it, is that Councillor Fowler and I were offered a solution for our constituents. We simply said yes. The question was asked on the way through of the debate through this matter, if you could top up, the answer was yes. In other waste discussions around some bins being serviced, councillors have topped up services for bin collection in other areas that are less serviced by the city. And Active and Healthy we've topped up. So it wasn't unreasonable to expect that that might be something that we were able to do. Speaking for Councillor Fallow and I, because we have talked about this, it certainly wasn't our intention to in any way make any other councillor, put any other councillor in a bad position. We simply were responding to a service request, Mr. Mayor. The Gold Coast Bulletin had a story they were running, and we added some commentary to it. That was simply what happened. They're the actual turn of events. So I welcome this, Mr. Mayor. I think it deals with it. There are positions on both sides, but I think we've got to remember that there are constituents that can't put things in their car. They're too old, their car's too small, they can't put things in their car, they can't take it to the tip. The lady that contacted me, the first person that contacted me was a single mum with special needs kids who could not get their stuff to the tip. There's just some people that need this service, and I welcome your leadership in resolving this today, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councillor, I'll close the debate. Oh, question.
So my question is perhaps through you to Councillor Doran or the Director. It sounds like there was an email sent. I have to say I didn't get a chance to read Councillor Doran's email, and I probably should have, but I haven't. He indicated there was either 4,000 or 3,700 surplus. I can't remember the exact figure, but can you quantify that figure exactly for me? Because if there's 4,000 people who wanted to get bags that didn't, that's a $720,000 cost to the city, and we're only allocating a maximum of 280,000. I just want to get that in my head.
I could do it.
Director?
I don't mind who answers the question, Mr. Mayor. It's up to you.
I do.
Okay, sorry.
I'm going to the Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think the number of people unable to secure a bag was 3,700. But Councillor Doran may be able to assist.
Okay, so just so I've got it clear, am I right in saying that the cost of the bag is about $180? Does that sound right to you?
I think from memory, 167.
Okay, so 167. I'll have to just quickly calculate that again. 3,700. So effectively, we're acknowledging that there's about a $618,000 shortfall in supply for the demand for these flexi skips. And today, the resolution is that we be allocating up to 14 divisions, and perhaps you as well. We're allocating effectively $300,000 to meet that demand. Every councillor should be very aware that that's not going to satisfy the majority of people applying for these bags. We are creating a rod for our back, and I really think we should be deferring this to the quarterly budget review. And if we really want to meet this need, and we really think this is a core service that we want to provide for people just like Councillor Doran talks about, a single mum who has special needs children and want to go down that track, or anyone in the city, we should do that properly through a quarterly budget review and add $617,900 to the budget in order to make sure that every resident can have access to it, rather than just providing just enough to make sure people are, effectively going to be dissatisfied anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll come to Councillor Gates, but just on that, Council debated on and put the cap on it.
Of course.
And from memory, we view that it's an additional service, not a core service.
Mr. Mayor, you and I agree on that, so I wasn't trying to contend that point.
All right. Councillor Gates.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make the point that you've already given a directive to the CEO that it comes to March budget review. So surely the funds that have been made available for February are there and sufficient. And we can have a proper report of who's asked for what. I have to say personally, I've only had 2 requests for Division 3. Now that might change once people become aware that there is additional funding available, but for those 2 people, I took the position that I was going to wait for budget review and fight for additional funding. I thought we initially allocated more at budget last year, and I'm not quite sure how we're $1 million under what the initial suggestion was, but that's where we've landed. You've led the way by introducing this Mayoral Minute. You've agreed and directed the CEO to bring us back a report at March budget review. The deal's done, surely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Councillors, I'll close with a small clarification. Councillor Doran, when you said you and Councillor Farg decided to go ahead with it, well, the policy doesn't allow you to do that. It's got to, if you read the policy, there's another step, and you need the CEO and the Mayor to say yes from that. And as of date, I want to make it clear that I've never had a written request. You might have had a verbal with someone, but I haven't had a meeting with either of you. So by the time it's hit the paper and other councillors ring me and all that, and I said, well, at the moment I wouldn't entertain, and I'll wait till our next meeting, which is here. And now you see my response in the Mayoral Minute. So the debate's closed, councillors. I put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against? We'll call division. All in favour, show of hands.
Mayor Tate, Councillor Young, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Hemmel, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Gates, Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Patterson, Councillor Martin, Councillor Lacastra, Councillor Doran, Councillor Marshall, Councillor O'Neill.
Against?
Councillor Tozer.
Motion carried, supermajority. Confirmation of minutes. Someone moved that the minutes be tabled. Councillor Hamill, second Councillor Gates. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Any corrections, councillors, from the last minutes? No corrections. Someone like to move for adoption? Councillor Hamill, Councillor Gates, seconder. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried, unanimous. Mayor's report. So, councillors, it's a long one, but what I want to do is give you an executive summary, and the full report will be added in the minutes. And I know some of you will go right through it word for word and send me emails about your ideas and graphical errors and all that sort of stuff. But here we go. Summer Water Safety Campaign. I was joined by our Chief Lifeguard, Will Ashley, and to highlight that always swim between the flag, avoid risky behaviour around pools, rivers and other bodies of water, ensure adults actively always supervise children around the water. It sounds pretty basic, but you know, you just got to keep highlighting it. City Christmas events activation. I was joined by Santa Claus and Snowflake at Corowa, Broadbeach, to promote the Christmas events, and there's a whole bunch of them from Coomera to Coolangatta. On the 6th of December, Jai Hopataya versus Husseinian Chikarawa world title fight. Councillor Lacastra was there, giving me all the inside what they're going to do next, and how what round Jai's going to take him down. Round 8, he was spot on, and so he must have been a mean fighter himself to understand all that. And I congratulate Jai Hopataya winning his defence. Mayor's Christmas Carol, alongside, I mean, it's a family affair, right? Christmas and all that. So it's the first time I have Francesca out the front, and we had about 10,000 people around Hotter outdoor stage, and you don't work with animals and children. I know why. It was very hard to get her off the stage, but anyhow, they grow up so quickly, and that's the crowd. The outdoor space is coming along great, and so everyone had a great event there. And the next item there, I was away, so I throw to Councillor Hamill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was
absolute pleasure on the 9th of December to bid a media call for the Australian Volleyball Schools Cup. Mr Mayor, I was joined by Australian Volleyroos Max Senior and Emma Burton at this media call at the Carrara Sports and Leisure Centre. This event has called the Gold Coast home since 2019, Mr Mayor, and I was really happy with the feedback from event organisers at just how brilliant the event is going on the Gold Coast, how wonderful they find our facilities, and how critical they were in complementing experienced Gold Coast and all city staff in helping this event happen each year. Really, really positive feedback. Mr Mayor, this is the largest school-based sporting event in the Southern Hemisphere. Great event to have on the Gold Coast. This year saw 516 teams from 159 schools across Australia and New Zealand take to the courts of Carrara and other facilities around the city. It has been the launch pad for every national volleyball player over the last 3 decades, including 2000 Sydney gold medalist Natalie Cook and 2020 Tokyo silver medalist Tequila Clancy. Fantastic event, Mr Mayor. Was great to watch a little bit of some brilliant volleyball at our fantastic facilities. That afternoon, Mr Mayor, it was an absolute pleasure to join Councillor Doran out at the now Andrew Simons Oval. We were absolutely blessed to have Andrew's mother, Barbara, there with us, and a massive amount of members of the Gold Coast cricket fraternity to unveil the official sign dedicating this facility in Andrew's honour. Mr Mayor, I think a special council mention should go to Councillor Doran. This idea was spurred on by him and by the Gold Coast cricketing community. He was a true champion for it. And it was really clear on the day to see, not just to Andrew's mother, but to a lot of Gold Coast cricketers there, that it really meant something. Andrew was their friend. I know he was a close friend of Councillor Doran's, and it really did mean something to those people. We shared some interesting stories of what a true character Andrew was, the effect he had on the game and still has on the game today, and just reconfirming that hope that I know Councillor Doran explained so well, that we really do hope that every young cricketer that walks on this field in the future stands a little bit taller, hits that ball a little bit harder, bowls that leggy a little bit better than Councillor Doran could, and really enjoys it out in that field. Mr Mayor, we then moved to Monday the 15th of December after the horrific events down in Bondi in the evening beforehand. One of the first directions of the day was that all city flags be lowered to half-mast. Definitely the first time I've had to do that as acting mayor, and I hope not something I have to do very often, is make that particular direction. But we did that as an early acknowledgement to what had happened and where our city's response was. Mr Mayor, I also immediately on that day wrote a letter to the Mayor of Waverley, Will Nimesh, to pass on ours and your deepest sympathies and to affirm that the Gold Coast stands with his local government and the Australian Jewish community. The next day, Mr Mayor, it was a very sombre meeting, but one I'm really, really pleased that we held in the fashion that we did. So I requested that the rabbis and leaders of all the different Jewish communities in the coast come and meet with me in the Mayoral Lounge to discuss what happens next. I wanted to make sure that whatever kind of events were going to be held were done in respect to Hanukkah and respect to these groups. Mr Mayor, a very confronting meeting, obviously very, very raw emotions in the room in amongst already existing Hanukkah celebrations, then trying to talk about what kind of celebration and vigils would be appropriate in this. I'm really pleased we did that, because after a couple of hours of backwards and forwards, the outcome was the vigil on the Friday and then the public vigil on the Monday, which was spurred from this meeting. Could I just, on behalf of myself, Mr Mayor, thank the rabbis and leaders for coming to that meeting and, in amongst a lot of raw emotion, helping city officers bring that event together. It was an excellent outcome, and the final part we did was the solidarity, lighting up landmarks across the city in white. Mr Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, just a personal note from that meeting too, and I know this is something I've shared with a few of you, but I think the night beforehand on the Sunday night, nearly all of us were out at community events somewhere. We're at Hanukkah events, we're at Christmas carols up my way. Like, I think every council was at an event. For a split second after it became public and you could see everyone on their phone about the event, for the first time ever in this country, for a moment did I think about my own safety or my family's safety at a public event. Now, it was only for a fleeting moment, but I've never had that experience in this country before. At this meeting with these Jewish community leaders and the rabbis, are really connected with the fact that every single time this community holds an event, every single time they go out in public to demonstrate their faith, they have to consider the security implications of that. That every single time they take their children to a public event, they are thinking about, is it safe for my kids? So just to acknowledge that that's probably not something I had ever considered before, but definitely understand it now, and it reminds me just how truly thankful we are to live in this country, and that's hopefully not something that people should be feeling at public events, because that's not the country we live in. Mr Mayor, on Tuesday the 16th, also had the pleasure of the official announcement of the opening of the Pimpama Recycle Street. Mr Mayor, this is one of our city's fantastic initiatives that kicked off in 2018. We have it at Helensvale, Merrimack, Mollendina, Reedy Creek, and now Pimpama. This is the first stage of the rollout of the premium waste recycle centre for the centre of the city. The early feedback has been incredible. There's definitely a built-up desire from community members up at this end of the city to have this facility, and they look forward to the next stages of it, Mr Mayor. Importantly, it drives behaviour change, it increases recycling, and helps Gold Coasters understand that the cost of things there, that everything they can recycle for free is important. If they sort things properly, that reduces the weight and therefore reduces their burden on our city's landfills into the future. Mr Mayor, that was enough from me, and I'll throw back to you.
Oh, thank you. So 19th of December, we've got the Jewish community and city leaders ceremony right here in our lobby, and forming part of the afternoon proceedings, flowers being laid, and all three tiers of government was here. And just about every councillor was also here, and of course the three rabbis were here as well. It's really, when you're laying the reef there, it strikes you how real it was, and I'm glad that that was one of the events that we held. And then on Monday we had the City of the Gold Coast Unity and Light Vigil, joined by over 2,000 people, Gold Coast faith leaders, and just to show that that we're standing by unity and with the Jewish people, and it's wonderful to see other faith leaders as well being there. We had Father Roman from Greek Orthodox, Reverend Stuart Perry from Rabina Anglican Church, Reverend Heng Shaw from the Buddhist Temple, Imam Shafid Flynn from the Southport Mosque, and we lit another menorah candle. So just bring it home that how horrific it is that it happened in Bondi. I spoke to some locals in Bondi who lives up there, and he said, one of them said to me, I used to get up early and go for a run and have a dip in the Bondi beach there, have a swim, refreshing, and come back and start his day. He said that he can't get himself to do that, and he's just an ordinary guy. I didn't even ask what faith he is, but it has changed quite a bit for the people surrounding Bondi, and that Bondi Beach is really going to be marred, and it won't feel like the Bondi Beach that we grew up with. I mean, I went to school there, and it's not just the Jewish community, but all Australian in that area is feeling it. Citywide New Year's Eve celebration is next on the 29th of December. So I caught up with Nick Kazid at Main Beach, and he was preparing all the fireworks, and I think you would have witnessed it on television, all the We had fireworks from Coolangatta to Coomera. So it's wonderful. Next one is the National Morning Show appearance. There's 2 videos there. I thought it easier to just watch it.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Well, big changes are coming to the Gold Coast in 2026, from sweeping upgrades in Surfers Paradise to large-scale infrastructure projects along the coast. Hundreds of millions of dollars will be spent transforming the city.
The major revamp aims to revitalise the region, boost tourism and future-proof one of Australia's favourite holiday destinations. And Mayor Tom Tate joins us live on the Gold Coast. You've always got the butcher's paper out there, Tom, coming up with new ideas. We love it. This music hall looks fantastic. You've got the revitalisation of Cavill Avenue. Take us through some of these major projects.
Yes, the music hall is at our transit centre, so the building's already there. We're transforming it so that we can have live acts to 6,000 people right in the heart of Surfers Paradise. So, and plenty of car parks, and it's one block away from the beach among all the accommodation homes. So it's going to be a winner.
Hey, Tom, we know you mean business when you are wearing a tie on the 5th of January, mate. We know that this is very serious stuff. Hey, Surfers Paradise is getting an upgrade. What's happening there?
Yeah, we're spending $100 million for the Cavill Mall and Orchard Avenue. And what happens is that it's more pedestrian and family friendly. We've trial on closing the road in front of the Esplanade there, so that the beach comes right into the mall, and you feel like that you're actually dining on the beach. So we're trialling that out, and it's some mixed feedback. The locals love it. A few other locals further down in Main Beach don't like it so much because they can't drive through. But hey, we'll look at it, and if the majority likes it, we'll keep it.
There's a sort of a Rodeo Drive feel to the images we're looking at Cavill Mall here. You're not going to remove what should we call it, the grittiness of the destination?
The fun and the adrenaline pumping will still be there in later when the family's gone to bed. So we're something for everyone, and so I say to if you're high adrenaline and in your 30s, well, bring your money with you, and you'll have a bit of fun with your friends, and you might even find true love.
Tom, if we were betting people, we would think you were trying to detract from Brisbane's 2032 preparations, but maybe not. Maybe it's just all about the Gold Coast.
Complimentary.
No, we're co-hosting with Brisbane. We've got a lot of sports happening here and a lot of trials happening. So for both Olympics and Paralympics, so we've got a big role to play. Got 9 sports, and so we're walking close step with Brisbane. I want Brisbane to succeed. Everyone goes to Brisbane during the day and party at night on the Gold Coast.
Healthy sibling rivalry. Thank you, Tom.
Good morning, welcome back from Surfers Paradise to Burleigh Pub. Not too many better places to enjoy a beer.
Spoken like a true Queenslander, Noel.
There is nothing quite like spending summer on the Goldie, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. The Glitter Strip right now recording a sharp rise in tourists.
So for more, let's bring in none other than the Gold Coast Mayor, Tom Tate. Morning, Tom, good to see you. Seems like the Goldie's bursting
Morning,
at the
Joe and
seams.
Ali.
Hi. How many tourists are we talking
here? It's bursting at the seam, and it's... Oh, locally, we've got about 1.5 million people visiting us for the month of January. Occupancy rate's around 80%, so there's still plenty of room for everyone to come up.
They say Queensland, beautiful one day, perfect the next, and occasionally a little sprinkle of rain just to keep the grass green. A huge number of people opted to celebrate New Year's Eve on the Goldie. Do you think we can eventually get to the point where those celebrations rival Sydney's?
Oh, come on.
Oh, mate, we do it Gold Coast style, meaning that we've got barge in the water on the sand and celebrating from Coomera to Coolangatta. So it's the biggest fireworks stretch in Australia, not just the one point. And Sydney's got their style, and we celebrate that. It's wonderful. We've got our style with people on the beach.
That's the power of Tom Tate, the mayor there. He said, just turn the rain off quickly until I'm done with this interview.
I'm doing some breakfast television. Hey, Tom, looking ahead, there's a lot on this year for the Gold Coast. Talk us through the calendar.
The calendar is today we start with Magic Million, and what we have there is people can invest in horses. Even my wife and her girls got a horse running in Magic Million this weekend. And what it means is that if you've got a lady syndicate, if you win, you get another $500,000 bonus. So she's happy with that. Polo, we got that as well. Women's Cup in March, the soccer. World Surf League in May, Marathon in July, Pacific Air Show in August, Rugby League in October, and many, many more.
For those who have incredibly never visited the Glitter Strip, you've got the nation listening and watching right now. Give us your best elevator pitch.
I say to you, come and join us. It's wonderful here, 29 degrees in the sun, a bit of rain to cool you down, and 22 in the water. And you know what? The discount shopping is still there for the ladies.
Well said. Gold Coast Mayor Tom Tate, thanks for joining us this morning.
That's the elevator. All right, I won't add any more to that. I haven't seen that one, so all good. Thank you, Morning Tea, from City staff. Mr. CEO, can you elaborate on that for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, it was a great opportunity earlier in the month for us to just quickly come together and to say a huge thank you for our staff for a series of events that happened over the Christmas break. There is something about the Gold Coast that when Christmas rolls around, we seem to have weather events. So there was the weather event predominantly in Southport. There was the response that the Deputy Mayor's already spoken to in relation to the tragic events in Bondi, and then we also had some sewerage outages as well. So all of this was able to happen by an incredibly dedicated set of staff who came in most cases from their Christmas break in order to make sure the city continues to be up and running and continue to enhance the Gold Coast way of life here on the Gold Coast.
Thank you, CEO. Magic Millions Carnival started on Saturday the 10th. That's at the Spit, that one there. There's polo and show jumping, and it was packed actually, and it was good fun to watch the polo. And then we move on to Twilight Racing, and then from there we go to Barrier Draw. It was moved to Corowa, and it was successful. I think Councillor Gates, you were there, and it was great. Good vision for everyone. And then on the Saturday, the Magic Million race. I find it interesting in the 3-year-old, as mentioned earlier, 3-year-old guineas, and Ruth and her friend had a syndication there, and the horse was Crash the Party, the name, 150 to 1 it was. So and it finished fourth by a nose. If it got third, Ruth would have got a lot more money in her syndicate. But if you add the bonus, because it's a female syndicate, I think they collect around $300,000. So with her and her friends, what did I do? Crash the party. So we had a few drinks at the Winning Circle, Katie Page and Sarah Phelps there. So it was a fun afternoon. Citywide playground upgrades. There were a number of playground upgrades, a whole list of it. So from Rainbow Bay to Omo, there's 11 playgrounds were completed. Congratulations to the team there, Mr. CEO, having it all ready for summer. Gold Coast Waterway cleanup, and city contractors remove another 230 tonnes of organic matters and litters from our canals and lakes. I caught up with a meeting with Cynic Mayor, another good name, Tom Sharp, and we updated him about our ARC project. And we're slowly getting around to all the mayors. Councillor Hamill and I think Councillor Hamill went up to Logan, to Mayor Raven, and so it's getting around. Basically, it's this. Councillor Mayor has been going around saying that our ARC project's not going to happen, shit-canning us, to be frank, right? So anyhow, that's a technical term. So I had lunch last Wednesday with the...
Waste. That's what you meant, isn't it?
It's
yes.
very appropriate. Yeah. So had lunch with our Premier on last Wednesday, and brought to his attention that what council mayors are up to, and he assured me that that he fully supports what we're doing, and they won't be able to put any more blemishes on our project. But so he knows it. I think we're going to see the appropriate ministers to make sure that they get the message, and that that council mayors. What's behind the scene is they're trying to get $300 million to do a study for another art project, and I said to the Premier, I said, that $300 million, we've done the study, we've got our IP. All they have to do is pick up the phone and say, can you come and present to us, which we have offered twice to the council of mayors, and to let them know what we're up to, how we're doing it, free of charge, of course. And no, they want to get $300 million to basically, end of the study will be, we don't have the money to buy. We should really recognise Gold Coast City being the regional waste to energy, and we should sign a supply agreement with them, and so that Gold Coast can build a good sized one to cover Logan, Pacific, Scenic Rim, Redlands, and even south of Brisbane. But no, with ego, let's call it that, they want to do their own. But they don't even have a piece of land. They're about 5 years behind us as far as I'm concerned. And so by the time we're up and running, they'll still be scratching their head and still asking for maybe another $300 million. It's astounding, really. So, but we'll keep going because it's a great project. And councillors, it's the greenest project that we're actually taking waste and sorting it out to make glass, recycled plastics to be put into our pavement, to our roads, and our the balance of the cardboards and papers to be recycled, and what's not recycled, food waste and things like that, and converted into energy. And so we'll be able to supply that energy to actually Visiglass, looking to sign a supply agreement with us because they use a lot of energy. They're investing $1 billion just across the road from us. So that project is going great guns. We've got a good team there, and just sad that council of mayors can't work it out, that all you have to do is pick up the phone. I have no issue with them, personal issues. I'm, as you all know, I'm issue focused, and this project's there. They're more than welcome to be part of it. Why wouldn't we? More. If we're building it, we might as well build it for other parts as well. So I'd say this is the largest and greenest project anywhere in local government in the Southern Hemisphere. And some say that we're the greenest council in all the land, but we won't go that far yet. Once we sort turn, we'll start claiming that title, or let other people claim it for us. Next item, on 15th of January, Mayor Students Ambassador program was launched, and this is the 13th year, and we've got tertiary students and high school students, including Gold Coasters, comes out and tell their social media and friends and family how wonderful it is to study on the Gold Coast. Next one, I had a boardroom luncheon with all the presidents of all the chambers, and gave them an update on what experienced Gold Coasters do, what their charter is, investment Gold Coast, and our infrastructure. So we gave a presentation to those. Of course, I told them about waste to energy, so that they can take it back to all the small business members in their various Chamber of Commerce. On-site visit to Modern Pods. They build two-bedders in the factory, takes it out and erect it. I think they can do 6 in about 2-3 days. Talk about affordable housing. That's the way to go. They're looking to expand, and they said they'll keep the council updated. They're producing 400 pods a year now, and having 150 full-time jobs. Home Corp, we saw it turn at Florence residence, groundbreaking ceremony. Councillor Taylor was in attendance, gave a wonderful speech, and the Japanese partner was there, and they're all excited about another project. Meeting with President of ICF, that's International Canoe Federation, and President Thomas Canetzo. We are talking about bringing World Championship to the Gold Coast, the canoes, and paddling, and by I think one global one is 2029, and then there's another one 2030 at Damien Leading Park. So we'll be able to have that legacy there, and if it's good enough for World Championship, maybe it's good enough for the Olympics. We'll see how it goes. 9 News, Gold Coast, 30 days, 30th birthday, and it was good to see Eva Millick and Paul Taylor come here, cut the cake, and I, of course, make it up. You know how when you watch the kids cut a cake, and when the knife's still dirty, you say to them, "Oh, you got to kiss the closest girl to you because you got a dirty knife." Well, I pulled the same stunt and gave Eva a bit of a kiss. Anyway, it worked. Next one, meeting with Great Britain rowing team. They want to come and train on the Gold Coast, and they looked at various places. Robina, Varsity Lakes, the Hinds Dam. So GB Rowing was looking to the Gold Coast now. Gopio on the Sunday, celebrating Indian Republic Day, gave a welcome address. So it's a global organisation of people of Indian origin, and 77th anniversary. And I said, look, I'm happy to be here and have fun, but let's not talk about cricket today. I can't remember the result of Australia versus India T20 at Carrara, and they're all laughing because they know the result very well. The 2026 Australia Day celebration at Hodder, so that was yesterday, and we had a citizenship ceremony. Around, I think, 420 new Australians were created, and there's more coming. And then we celebrated at Hodder. There's the fireworks there. I didn't stay right to the end, but it's wonderful. At 4 o'clock, I went out, and it's a bit hot, so everyone's in the shade. And you look behind Hodder itself. The lake was packed full of people with stand-up paddleboard, people with thongs, broad shorts, barbecue, eating sausages, and then they hear live music and they're just walking their board shorts straight over to the live music at Hodder there. I think it's built perfectly for the Gold Coast. You can be in your board shorts and thongs and come and sit there and see entertainment in the theatre. It's perfect. So the council, that's it for my mayor's report. I move, councillors, that the mayor's report be noted and welcome. Second to Councillor Hamill. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried, unanimous. Mr. CEO, clarification nil. Business arising from minutes, nil. Presentation, I go to Councillor Hamill first.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, late last year, City Planning received a commendation at the 2025 Planning Institute of Australia Queensland Awards for Planning Excellence in the Technology in Digital Innovation category. The award recognises the work of the Robina Central Planning Review for its innovative use of AI and machine learning in consultation data analysis. The project showed how AI can analyse more than 1,000 pieces of community feedback in under 5 hours compared to 2 to 3 weeks using traditional methods. It also helped deliver improved visuals and better demographic analysis for the project. It's an excellent example of how AI is being used by local government to save time and deliver improved information for our decision making. In this case, it was able to take weeks off the consultation program timeline. It's incredibly rewarding to have this work recognised by the Planning Institute of Australia, reflecting the great collaboration and innovation across our teams. I'd like to call upon representatives from our City Planning team to receive the award.
I now go to Councillor Tozer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Queensland Tourism Awards are the pinnacle of excellence in our state's tourism industry. For 40 years, the awards have celebrated exceptional industry accomplishments, honouring the finest individuals, businesses and events across Queensland. The 2025 winners and finalists were announced at the annual Queensland Tourism Awards Gala ceremony in November 2025, and I'm proud to say that 2 Gold Coast tourist parks took out awards in the Caravan and Holiday Parks category. The category recognises tourism excellence in caravan or holiday parks with a focus on both the facilities and the services that enhance the tourism experience. The category is open to caravan or holiday parks that offer cabin or tenting accommodation and must meet a 3 to 5 star rating standard. The 2025 Bronze Award for the category was awarded to our Broadwater Tourist Park, which is a great achievement given it was the first year the Broadwater team have entered the Queensland Tourism Awards. The 2025 Silver Award was awarded to our Tullabudgera Creek Tourist Park. Before we call everyone for a photo, just 1 second. You're all good. I would also like to take a moment to recognise Brooke Turner and Matthew McDonald from Broadwater Tourist Park for their amazing response to the Christmas Day storm event. As many would be aware, the tourist park was severely impacted and around 36 families displaced when part of the park were displaced when part of the park was declared an exclusion zone. The part of the park not included in the exclusion zone was completely cleaned up by 2 p.m. on Boxing Day, which is pretty bloody awesome. Demonstrates the team's commitment to the park and its visitors. Massive kudos for that. Congratulations to both parks for the 2025 awards. I'd like to call on the representatives to accept the awards in 2 separate groups. Firstly, the Broadwater Tourist Park representatives for the Bronze Award. Well done, legends. Well played. And secondly, the Tullabudgera Creek Tourist Park representatives for the Silver Award that they picked up. Well played. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Councillors, next presentation, State Emergency Service celebrate 50 years. So we want to recognise that. Extraordinary contribution by SES volunteer across the Gold Coast. And the Gold Coast is one of Australia's most dynamic and hazard-exposed city for severe storm and flooding to coastals and climate-driven risk. And in an ever-changing city, it is vital that we have a modern volunteer state emergency services here on the Gold Coast. Our SES units are often the first on the scene, working in difficult conditions to protect homes, infrastructure and lives. This is typified in their response to the Christmas 2023 event, attending 2,814 tasks and response to Tropical Cyclone Alfred, where they attend 2,160. The SES is powered by volunteers, 343 in fact, people who leave their family, their jobs and their daily lives to help others. Their service reflects the very best of the Gold Coast spirit and community resilience and mateship. These celebrations are also about recognising the families, employers and support network who make their service possible. On the Gold Coast, our 7 SES groups work seamlessly alongside the City of the Gold Coast, but also the Queensland Police Service, Queensland Fire Department and Queensland Ambulance Service. These partnerships ensure a coordinated, effective response when our community needs its most. As a city, we remain committed to support SES and strengthening community preparedness. This 50-year celebration is about honouring service, but it's also about readiness for the future. On behalf of the City of the Gold Coast, thank you to every SES volunteer for standing ready day and night for our community. The Gold Coast is safer because of all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, trust you.
Thank you. Item 10, conflict of interest declarations. Mr. C, I got nil. Okay. Number 11, planning, 11.1, planning, go to Councillor Hamill.
Mr Mayor, I move that the minutes of the 863rd Planning and Regulation Committee meeting held on Tuesday, 20th January 2026, covered by recommendations 1 to 5, be received.
Second to Councillor Doran. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Councillor Hamill.
Mr Mayor, would like to move item 6.1, the committee recommendation, please.
Move 6.1. Seconder. Councillor Wilkinson. Councillor Hamill.
Mr Mayor, we spent a fair bit of time on this one of the committees, so I just thought I'd recap quickly today for councillors who weren't at committee. This is another application in Palm Beach in the city centre zone land. Just reminding councillors that in this zoning, the 50% height lift cap does not apply, so there is notionally no height restriction. However, the 50% uplift criteria in terms of architectural form and all the other expectations are still applied as part of the assessment. Mr Mayor, this is an 1,800 square metre site on a very prominent corner location in Palm Beach. There was discussion at committee that that's really important, that all sites should be of a high quality architectural and built form, but definitely corner sites, we should rightfully expect more from them. They are the entranceway into our suburbs and especially into our city centre zoned land. And that the feedback to the officer assessment on the architecture and built form of this building was very strong, that they really believe they were delivering a high quality building facade. Mr Mayor, there was discussion at committee that while this application was in assessment, the developer, who is Sherpa Group, have secured the property next door, and about halfway through assessment have lodged an application over the entire holding now. So there was just some discussion about the legals around all of that.
They can do it.
Just confirming for all councillors, there is no issue with that. Under Queensland law, you can have multiple applications on one site at a time. The applicant could have chosen to withdraw the application if they wished. However, I think because they were so far through the assessment, they definitely would have got their fees back at that stage. Alicia's tight with the money. So they chose, Mr Mayor, to not withdraw and to finalise assessment, which means we need to make a decision. They may never enact this decision of council today and go forward whatever comes next, but we must finalise the assessment with the decision here at council today. Mr Mayor, finally, just within that city centre zoning, there's an expectation of greater intensity and density in those areas. This is not medium density, so in city centre zone land, we do expect smaller setbacks. We do expect podium, more in the podium. We expect a slightly more dense area. So discussion at committee around setbacks and density was really good discussion. But I'm very confident after, again, reviewing the officer report on the weekend, going through the submissions received from the public on this one, which there was only a handful, that if this is the approval the developer proceeds to go with, that it would be an excellent addition to Palm Beach and one that all councillors should support here today.
Okay. Speaking against the motion, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I wasn't involved in the 2016 city plan, which included the height uplift provision, but it is our role to assess within the context of that framework. Mr Mayor, this application seeks a density of 1 bedroom per 5.8 square metres, compared to the RD7 density zoning of 1 per 25 square metres in the centre zone. So councillors were provided some other information because the questions came up at committee around relevant comparable densities in a centre zone. Councillors were provided with 10 other high-rise locations in a centre zone, all with less intense densities. This application will become the most dense in the centre zone, and combined with its height, this development will also become the tallest building in the centre zone. So the coupling of the tallest and the most dense makes us heavily scrutinise that uplift criteria. Mr Mayor, through the assessment process, I welcome city officers interrogating the proposal, and they actually sought to increase some of the setbacks, which would lessen the intensity of the development. But unfortunately, the applicant refused to take them on board, particularly relying on the corner block location. Mr Mayor, I'd, I guess, caution the centre zone, whilst the corner block is the outer fringes and really is where it tapers down to the medium density residential zone. I thought the objective of the officers seeking those reduction in setbacks was reasonable, but not secured in this occasion. Mr Mayor, also the other high density approvals, I think it's relevant. We've had other, and I note that this is not capped to the 50% uplift in the city plan in the provision, but there has been no high-rise applications above the 50% in the centre zone, and particularly the first one was the collective tower, which was applied for originally at 25 stories over the 50% cap, but through the court appeal process was worked down, whether by consent, but overall it was held with that 50% in line. And a lot of the discussion is around that is more reflective of the existing built form and the character of Palm Beach. So this would be the first application above that 50% criteria. So, Mr Mayor, the combination of the size scale, the highest density, highest height for Palm Beach, I can't support the application as proposed.
Anyone speak for it? Councillor Gates?
Not for. I have a question, if you wouldn't mind, please, Mr Mayor. Given what Councillor Martin has just expressed in regard to the collective reducing the height of their building willingly, I believe it was driven by the applicant that they would reduce the height subject to the feedback from residents that they only wanted that height. Was there a possibility of just swiping a level or two off the top of this building? Because I wasn't so concerned about it when it was just the single application, but if there's been another block obtained by Sherpa Group and they're both, does this set a precedent that that same level might be appropriate on the second block and make it an extremely bulky and dense building?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Gates, I might separate these into two parts. So any application that will come forward for the new lot that they've acquired, that will be assessed on its merits. In terms of precedents, you'll hear us say quite a lot that we don't believe that each development sets a precedent. We assess it on its merits. In terms of the height, I'm not aware because officers aren't out here at the moment, but from my knowledge officers were comfortable with where that was at the 60.4 metres. So I think the collective was around 58 point something. What we've done is assess it in accordance with the planning scheme. I think because this doesn't have the 50% uplift, so it's the centre zone, that's why officers have assessed it against the criteria. We've determined that that is suitable, and that's why the officer's recommendation was there. I can take it on notice in terms of whether there were discussions with officers about reducing it at that point, but not in those discussions, and I wasn't involved in those.
Can I just go on a little more, Mr Mayor? I think it's clear to all of us that the Palm Beach community was okay to accept what the collective did. And perhaps, even though this is a reduced number of submissions, can you just tell me, would it be open to us to reduce the height to the 58?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Gates, it would be open to the room if you decided to resolve that. The height could be reduced and it would be a condition included on the approval.
Mr Mayor, would you accept an amendment?
Let me go to Councillor Hamill first.
Mr Mayor, follow-up question to that. Do we have any reason to believe that would hold up an appeal, Alicia, given that the officer assessment is that there is no height limit applicable to this block?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Hamill, our officer's assessment is the report. We believe that the height is acceptable as it is, which is why the recommendation is where it is. In terms of an appeal, would have to see how that went through there. Couldn't determine what that result would be.
Councillor Gates.
I guess, Mr Mayor, we should have checked this out at committee rather than my rising today to make that attempt. But I understand Councillor Martin's concern with this one, especially given a circumstance we've not experienced before, which is the additional block of land, and we don't know what the potential is for the combined block or whether they'll do a separate application. So I'll leave it go, Mr Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Tozer.
Mr Mayor, through you to the EGM, is the other site they've purchased also in the same zone where there isn't a height limit?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Taylor, I believe it is, yes.
Right.
Okay. All right, anyone speaking for the motion? Go to Councillor Hamill to close.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I thought I'd just address a couple of points quickly. So Councillor Martin is accurate that if approved and if enacted, which I think it's a fairly big if this one will be built, it would have been the smallest density approval to date at 1 per 5.8. That only information that was provided to councillors before today shows that the other approvals, there are some at 1 per 6, 1 per 6.5, 1.7. We're talking about square inches of difference. I'm not too concerned about that when overall, I don't know if we've ever approved anything in the last 10, 12 years that's actually met the overlay for density. They're set at a very high point because they create an impact trigger. And with that trigger then means the applicant has to prove that the traffic, sewer, stormwater, water can all be handled. That's why it's set that way. Mr Mayor, setbacks. Councillor Martin raised what was in the information request of the applicant, which sought the outermost projection of the building to be increased in setback. I believe that as it sits today, it's at 1.7 and officers might have requested it go to 2 metres. The response back from the applicant was as well, they understood the request. They didn't feel that officers had considered enough the rest of the architecture of the building, that the 1.7 was only at very minor points, and that through big articulation points, that the majority of the building sat back further than that. That argument obviously was accepted by officers, hence the reason for this put forward today. I agreed with that assessment at committee that while it is 1.7 to outermost projection, that's just where the curve of the concrete that would be used comes out, then curves in with big articulation points. So the majority of the building is set back closer to 2.53 metres along the way. Again, Mr Mayor, in that city centre zone, I think that's reflective of what we expect in all our city centre zone land. We expect podiums to be closer to the boundary. We expect street frontages to be activated. These are meant to be future retail and commercial tenancies that have got shops and cafes and restaurants in them. I don't see a big point of having a whole setback for the whole building just to have more on-street dining there. That can all happen with inside the tenancy and then a small overflow onto the street. Mr Mayor, in terms of height, again, that is accurate, that if approved and if built, it would be the tallest approval given in Palm Beach to date. The EGM is correct. We're talking a few metres difference. From my memory, it's only the lift run of this building that's actually above the 50%. So I think from the community's point of view, when the majority of the building is at the 50% mark and then it's only the lift overrun, which is in the middle of the building, no one can see it, it's going to have zero impact on anybody. I don't think that's a major concern. Again, to make the point, there is no height restriction in this area. It's town planning 101 stuff where the size of the block there and then how many car parks can you put on it, the setbacks that come with it. That's kind of what dictates it. It seems to be in Palm Beach, given the size of the blocks, that it's somewhere between this 50 to 60 metre mark in the city centre zone land. Mr Met, while it's still under assessment, and I don't want a future decision to be too included today, what they've actually put forward with the application over the biggest site would see a height reduction on this building, because I think they acknowledge that the size of the block, what they're doing, how much building they would have, that needs to be there. However, we're here today to make a decision on this application, Mr Mayor, for all those reasons I've outlined. And again, it just demonstrates the strong popularity in Palm Beach. This is not going to be the last city centre zoned application in Palm Beach by a long way. What I'm really pleased to see is the quality of what's being put forward. These are good-looking buildings. There's a lot of thought put into how their use and contribution to the Palm Beach community will look like in the future, and I believe they should be supported by this council.
Thank you. The debate's closed, councillors. So divisions call. All in favour, show of hands.
Mayor Tate, Councillor Young, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Hemmel, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Patterson, Councillor Lacastra, Councillor Tozer, Councillor O'Neill.
Against?
Councillor Taylor, Councillor Gates, Councillor Martin, Councillor Doran, Councillor Marshall.
Motion carried. Any other items deal separately, councillors? Councillor Hamill.
Mr Mayor, I move that all remaining recommendations be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Doran. All in favour, show of hands. Against? That's a yes. Yeah, okay. Against? Motion carried. Unanimous. Item 12, consideration notice of motion. Mr C. O'Neill. Question on notice. Nil. Presentation of petition 14.1. Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that the petition requesting that council cease putting in a footpath in Splice Street, Mermaid Waters, be received and referred to a committee for consideration and report.
Seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against? Motion carried. Next one, Councillor Marshall.
Thank you again, Mr Mayor. I move that the petition requesting that council reconsider the proposed shared footpath along Barrier Reef Drive between Halborn Drive and Rio Vista Boulevard be received and referred to a committee for consideration and report.
Councillor O'Neill, seconder. All in favour, show of hands. Against? Motion carried. Councillor Patterson.
Mr Mayor, I move that the petition calling for council action on Gold Coast rental crisis be received and referred to a committee for consideration and report.
Seconder, Councillor Tozer.
I have a question about that petition. I read the substance of it. It occurs to me that the matter actually pertains to legislative mechanisms that we don't have the power to enact in any way, and I'm conscious that are we able to receive a petition about matters we can't actually...
yeah, we can receive it and tell them we can't act on it.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I mean, I read the notes, and with respect to Councillor Patterson, I wasn't trying to create drama, but it seems like...
Receive it, and then there'll be a quick...
Of course.
Okay. All in favour, show of hands. Against? Motion carried. 14.4, Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that the petition received from my residents at Linfield Gardens in Helensvale calling for council to reconsider the implementation of the new rating category community title scheme lot in a retirement village be received and referred to a committee for consideration and report.
Seconder, Councillor Peter Young. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Item 15, general business, nil. 16, other business, presentation by ARC. Oh, my favourite subject. Come on in, CEO ARC. Oh, here, look, his lips not even moving. Yep. Well, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And thank you again for the opportunity to sit here and talk to you about ARC. Your ongoing interest and the support we get from this council and the board has really been instrumental in delivering 2025 and setting us up for a fantastic 2026. To start the video, to the session today, we've just got a short 3-minute video which we'll release to the community in the coming days, which just gives you an update on what we're up to. If I could ask Chambers to...
Our journey to zero waste landfill starts here.
Can you pause for a second? Just checking any commercial in confidence and anything. There's a lot of spies from ComSec.
No, Mr Mayor, this is all public. We're here for the community.
It's going to be released now to the community.
Because they're watching us, these
Right.
ComSec people.
Not in a few days.
Okay, play.
Gold Coast is one of the fastest growing communities in Queensland. As our population grows, our landfills are expected to reach capacity within the next decade. The Advanced Resource Recovery Centre, or ARC, will be the Gold Coast's home for managing waste resources in a cleaner, smarter and more sustainable way. When you put something in your green, yellow or red bins, they will be collected and taken to the ARC facility, where each stream will be sorted and processed differently to reduce waste, protect our environment and create value for our community. The proposed development of the ARC will occur in 3 major stages. The first is already underway, with the ARC Organics facility operating just a few kilometres away from the main ARC precinct. This organics facility is turning garden waste from our green bins into compost and mulch for local parks and gardens. Over the next 3 years, we will construct the ARC Recycling Facility, delivering immediate community benefits through increased recycling and reduced waste to landfill. Preparing other areas within the site for construction and access will also begin during this time. In the next stage, 2 landmark projects will take shape. The ARC Hub will provide a hub for learning, research and engagement on waste, while the Innovation Park will attract emerging technologies and careers in sustainable waste recovery and circular economy. A new residual waste-to-energy facility will safely convert unrecoverable residual waste into electricity to power the precinct and other city services. The final stage will include a green hydrogen plant to fuel the city's next generation of decarbonised vehicles, as well as other emerging projects and technologies. We are working with industry to progress our solution. We're designing the ARC with our community front of mind. ARC Gold Coast will continue to engage with the community throughout the project, offering opportunities for participation, learning and feedback. Because the ARC is more than just waste management infrastructure. It is an investment in the Gold Coast's future, reducing costs to ratepayers, building jobs and skills, and positioning the city as a national leader in sustainability and circular economy practices. Our journey to a greener, smarter, more resilient Gold Coast starts here. Keep up to date on the ARC's development. Visit arcgoldcoast.com.
What, you don't want him to keep going?
Mr. Mayor, I put my hand up because I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask, but I feel that they would need to be asked in close, so maybe at your discretion when the time is right.
You got more presentation to do?
I've got a 3-minute presentation. It's 5 slides.
Why don't we finish the presentation?
And I'm happy to talk through through the chair as much as we need. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. The challenge we have is both simple and profound. The city is running out of landfill. It's finite. And so the council recognised the need to do something different, that the traditional method of collecting, trucking and burying waste was not the future that we wanted to have. So the city resolved to establish the ARC, a dedicated entity with a clear mandate to deliver a waste and resource recovery infrastructure of tomorrow for both the city and the broader region, focusing on long-term resilience as opposed to short-term fixes.
Wrong presentation? All right. We'll adjourn the meeting until you find the right one. Have you got the right one somewhere? Yeah, I need to visit Mother Nature. Now you're talking about waste and all that. Councillors, why don't we come back at 10 past? We're good with that? Okay. Streaming off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and apologies for the technical issues that we have. There's a sneak peek for audience at home. So as I was saying before, the journey we have been on, many of you have been through, we've got a diminishing asset, which is our existing landfills, and the city recognised the need to change how they were doing this for the long-term benefit of our community. I just wanted to stop and briefly highlight some of the work we've done in 2025, because 2025 has been a defining year for the ARC project and the stand-up of the ARC Gold Coast business. It's a year where planning turned into reality and delivery with the purchase of the ARC Organics facility at Yatala. And right now we're processing green waste from the city's green bins collected each week from our residents. When ARC was established, the mandate was clear: to deliver resilient, modern resource recovery services for the City of Gold Coast, and to do in a way that genuinely advances the circular economy and environmental outcomes for the city. Major upgrades to the ARC Organics processing facility are now entering design phase, and we have just about to place our submission into the Queensland Government Resource Recovery Boost Fund for funding associated with those upgrades. But also we'll be releasing the open EOI, expression of interest, for the residual waste to energy facility in the week of the 16th of February 2026. So we shortly communicate that to the market formally, but we're looking at the week of the 16th. ARC also plays an important role when it comes to things beyond delivery, as a champion of the city and a trusted partner to the state government, our regulators and our industry partners. Equally important is maintaining our social licence and community trust. ARC takes this seriously through transparency, proactive engagement and a strong focus on safety, environmental performance and accountability. On the screen is just a couple of things that have been done this year. Most importantly, we've had over 90 meetings with industry across 2025, showing the level of engagement we have. More broadly, there's a number of commitments that ARC has made to the city. And the first is delivering long-term resilient infrastructure that is environmentally, economically sustainable. We're building an advanced circular economy ecosystem that delivers reliable green, yellow and red bin services for the city and region, while reducing reliance on landfill and insulating ratepayers from the rising costs associated with landfill disposal. At the same time, we're investing in key infrastructure that improves the environmental outcomes and keeps value and capability here on the Gold Coast. Ultimately, ARC is not just about building infrastructure, we are creating jobs, capability and long-term economic value, supporting thousands of construction roles and hundreds of permanent positions for the Gold Coast community. Beyond our core services and our major capital projects that we've seen so far, ARC is also playing an active role in supporting the city's long-term vision to eliminate landfill and become smarter, greener and a more circular city. On the screen is a number of projects that will be rolling out over 2026, in particular the bulking up station. It seems really simple, but waste is about logistics. Waste is about moving it from the person at home to the place where we can derive the greatest value on the waste hierarchy. That bulking up station will transform the way the city manages the trucks that we commission through JJs, and really be one of those opportunities for us to make a significant change in the way the city manages its fleet of vehicles. As we look towards 2026, ARC is entering a period of major procurement, delivery and growth. The foundations laid in 2025 mean that we're doing this with clarity, confidence and control. In closing, I would like to acknowledge the work by the ARC team, our delivery partners and stakeholders here within the city. The progress made this year is the result of sustained effort, disciplined decision making and a shared commitment to building something that will serve the Gold Coast for decades to come. Thank you, and I look forward to what we're going to deliver together in the coming year.
All right, time moving to close. Councillor Gates, Commercial Confidence, Councillor Fowler. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Streaming Gallery open. Right, Councillor, someone like to move the recommendation? Move, Councillor Tozer. Seconder, Councillor Pete DeYoung. Do you want to speak on it?
Probably defer my opening remarks to the chair of the Water, Waste and Energy Committee, if that's okay.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tozer, for this opportunity, and thank you for another very exciting presentation as we progress what we know is a Southern Hemisphere leading project. Incredibly proud to be part of a council that is leading the charge in this, and look forward to seeing this publicly, the video released publicly. Did you say in the next couple of days? Wonderful. Look forward to sharing it, and thank you for the presentation.
Oh, great. Councillor, I'll put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, carry, unanimous. Thank you. Councillor, it's probably a good segue to get some lunch. 12:25, 35 minutes in. Good enough? Back at 1? All good. We're having lunch. Streaming off. response to the 2025 Christmas Day storm. Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good afternoon, councillors. I'm just going to spend a few minutes this afternoon just giving you a bit of an overview about what happened on Christmas Day in 2025 and the city's preparedness and response to. So in the morning we received advice from both Weather Watch and the Bureau of Meteorology that the potential for severe storms throughout the afternoon of Christmas Day, and where you see that sort of red area across the Gold Coast, that had shifted fairly north. So the day before it was mainly around the southern catchments and then went north. So as a result of that, we issued at 11 o'clock across the Gold Coast alert system, just giving people a general warning that these storms may become severe.
Good evening.
Throughout the day.
As we go to air, an exclusion zone is in place after a powerful storm smashed parts of the Gold Coast, packing a powerful punch, snapping a crane and causing Christmas Day destruction at a holiday park.
Tearing through Southport.
We're in a tornado.
It's not a tornado. This storm is called a microburst. Restaurant doors nearly blown open. A Christmas storm so strong it sent a barbecue flying and snapped this crane. The crane hitting the apartment building, halting Christmas festivities for the afternoon.
There were a lot of gazebos flying around and a lot of people getting damaged with trees. One of my friends saw the crane bend.
At the Broadwater Tourist Park next door, holidaymakers asked to evacuate. Debris strewn across the sites, tents twisted and torn apart. This boat flipped.
We got family in the park and we went down to help out because our parents, their gazebo had smashed into a caravan. Caravans were moving in the wind. People were trying to run out to grab their stuff and it was just crazy.
As quickly as it came, it was over. Emergency services on standby, but thankfully no one was injured.
So as reported in the media, excuse me, that it was a microburst, our weather analyst tells us that in fact a rear flank downdraft is what we saw that afternoon. The main difference between the two is one is a straight line wind event, whereas the rear flank downdraft is spinning. So that would explain the damage. So it's more of a spinning system. Both are likened to the systems such as the Gap back in 2008 and also the Brisbane 2014 hailstorms. Very uncommon, though, for them to happen along the coastline, and you can see through that radar where effectively quite often as they hit the moist air, it knocks the energy out of them. But in this particular case, it actually took a line effectively from Ashmore across to Broadwater. From a response perspective, winds were 83k at the Seaway. The localised damage I guess it suggests that they were well in excess of probably 110 locally, particularly through Southport. The Bureau of Meteorology issued the initial severe weather warning, and then from there, with the collapse of the crane, the Queensland Police Service issued a public safety preservation declaration, which effectively is an exclusion zone. So that was the initial area that you can see up on your screen, and about 80 people were displaced. Many of those were displaced with what they had on their back, because they were out, and that was as I said, an immediate concern for that. So from that perspective, we sort of jumped into action, which I'll talk about shortly. But from an impact perspective, 59 requests from the SCS. Queensland Fire Department responded to 24 calls. As of 6 January, there was 119 work orders completed from the infrastructure maintenance crews, and QAS thankfully had no significant injuries or calls as a result of the storm. Mr Mayor approved the Local Disaster Coordination Centre to move to lean forward initially, and then to stand up, and then the Local Disaster Management Group moved to alert. It was deemed that there was no need for a meeting because it was a targeted response, and that the city wasn't going to exceed its local capacity to respond to that. Infrastructure maintenance, fantastic response, having the crews out there on Christmas night, straight back out there on Boxing Day, and assisted by contractors. structures, and also, given the unique situation, we engaged with Planning, Regulation and Service Gold Coast around some targeted parking actions, and also reducing the permit requirement so that they could then get that crane. So the reason why the crane couldn't come down straight away was because of the weather, so they were really keen to use the windows that they could to dismantle it. Our hotel reservation system, so that's one of the I guess legacy systems that we set up from COVID, and we've still got now running. Worked really hard, as you can imagine, at Christmas night on the Gold Coast to find rooms were pretty challenging, and I think on the first night we had them across 6 hotels. We were able to condense everyone onto one site, which was able to assist us with communication, etc. By the second night, community recovery stood up, but yeah, our wonderful volunteering Gold Coast, none of the bus companies could move that quickly, so they just called out, and we had buses moving people doing shuttle runs from the park, and then as we started getting the rooms allocated, fantastic. And also from a relief perspective, Give It were able to give us Kmart vouchers so people could get clothes. Some people didn't even have their phone with them, and we worked with the Gold Coast Faith Network, who jumped into action, and you can see on the photo there, Tom and the crew went down with food hampers, and we effectively had 2 areas of relief, which was the tourist park itself, and then ridges down at the Gold Coast Airport, which is where we were able to centralise the accommodation through to. From next steps, we're pretty much completed. We're just dealing with just some bits and bobs now as far as cleanup goes, working with Infrastructure Gold Coast around the ongoing work with tree auditing, the identification of eligible expenditure. We're working now with Queensland Reconstruction Authority. We had they were excellent on Boxing Day declaring the event so we could get our costs back, and implementation of the lessons identified. And probably to that, I guess this is probably an example. Some of the lessons, even though they were very unique events, some of the lessons that we took from the SeaWorld helicopter crash around emergent situation, unique situation, we're probably in that good to great that we're starting to move towards, and we actually implemented, for example, our accommodation a lot smoother, the public information a lot smoother. So we are moving with the implementation of a new sub-plan that deals with these types of situations, continually learning. And then there's some stats there in the pack for you, and then just thought we'd finish with a quote from you, Councillor Patterson, that you spoke on the media about, which was very nice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Questions? All right. Councillor, I move recommendation. Second to Councillor Patterson. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried, unanimous. Thanks, Mark. 16.3, risk appetite. Is that for you? We just had lunch, now I have some risk appetite. Another dad joke. Is there a presentation? Or?
There is a very brief presentation.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, councillors. Well, afternoon, is it? Afternoon now.
Afternoon, then.
It is afternoon. Pleasure to be here with you today. Pleasure to be here to be talking about risk appetite with you all today. A little bit of a recap. In late 2022, we had a problem. We were assessed against the Queensland Audit Office maturity scale for risk management and scored a 1 out of 5. Out of 30 benchmarked organisations, we're the only ones without a risk appetite. And our Audit and Risk Committee, our councillors and our new CEO were asking some valid questions at the time. So we got to work. A risk maturity uplift was supported by our ELT, our council and our Audit and Risk Committee, resulted in a new framework, policy, tools, templates, strategic risk profile, and as of December 2024, the city's first ever risk appetite statements were adopted by council. And I'm pleased to say that Audit has since confirmed that the city's risk management maturity has lifted from 1 to 3, a 110% increase from baseline. So we have moved to good as an organisation, but there's still plenty to do to get to great. We are, as an organisation, that manage significant risks every day in our infrastructure, our services, the safety of our staff and our community. And risk management will need to continue to mature and embed. And with that said, I'd now say happy 1-year anniversary since risk appetite has been adopted. It's an exciting time. And this is what we got to last year. 3 levels of risk appetite, choosing either conservative, balanced or opportunistic against 14 risk appetite categories. So what came out of our first review? There were 3 key questions we set out to answer. Are the statements still a true reflection of where council is comfortable in taking risk? Is risk appetite encouraging the right opportunities and applying the right safeguards? And how is risk appetite supporting decisions, culture, and our internal operations? So as part of the review, we engaged 60 internal stakeholders, our ELT, and a workshop with councillors. And a brief summary of the results showed that risk appetite had begun adding value in decision making and driving better risk management conversations. Over an 8-month period, 92% of ELT papers and 74% of open council papers have referenced risk appetite in key decisions. All 14 risk appetite categories had been used, showing they were generally fit for purpose of where we landed. And although good progress had been made, there are certainly some opportunities to enhance report writing, clearly highlight risks and opportunities, and to better measure risk appetite to show when risks are clearly inside or outside of appetite. The review also resulted in some suggested changes in the current risk appetite statements, which I've got on screen here. A change to in level to 2 of the risk appetite categories, technology and data and investment and economic development. A name change to 2 risk appetite categories, which is health and safety and reputation, and wording amendments to 12 of the 14 high-level risk appetite statements. So this was a bit more of a thorough review in the first year. So, Mr. Mayor, I'll leave it there, but if we wish to discuss any individual risk appetite statements, we've got slides that we can go to just facilitate the conversation.
Okay, questions? Councillor Tozer.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to just ask, how do you want us to argue our position if we have a different view than what's recommended?
Well, pick a point and go for it.
Okay. So I don't have a question, but I would love to talk about these things. I had a different view than some of the committee members and the workshop that we did, and I wouldn't mind just articulating those now. Is now the right time for that?
Yeah.
Great. So there are there's 3 categories that I think we're missing the ball on, or not necessarily aligned with our actions or objectives as a city. The first is financial management. I think rather than conservative, we should be honest with ourselves about being balanced, and part of that is because our current cash position over the coming 10 years is being impacted by our very bold and ambitious infrastructure planning. We are investing significant money in assets and infrastructure for the service of the community, but it's meaning that our cash position is changing and our debt position is changing as a result of those bold ambitions. I don't think it's fair or reasonable for us to say that we're conservative when we are being so ambitious with the projects that we are. Those projects I'm fully supportive of, projects like the ARC, projects like some of the work that is planned to mitigate the impact of storms on our beaches. They are big infrastructure projects that require significant funds invested, and frankly, we need to leverage debt to make sure that we deliver those properly and appropriately.
Okay. Just on that, I think for our budget, we'll be going in more detail. I have a totally different viewpoint to you.
Of course.
But I still feel that we're very conservative, even though we're ambitious in our infrastructure. And when we get to our budget conversation, you'll understand why, because there's so many, in other parameters that it'll be lay out to you, it will show you that we're a very conservative council.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I think we probably share a similar view about the particulars of what we're trying to do, and I think it'd be fair to say that I've been explicit in my support for those big projects, but I don't share the view necessarily that in order for us to achieve those appropriately, we would remain conservative. I think in order for us to remain conservative, we'd have to hold some of those back.
On that, that's why we'll do more work to prove to you that we're so conservative.
Okay, well, when that time comes, I've stated my view. The other category that I wanted to talk about was reputation. I think our mission statement as a city is plastered over all our walls, is inspired by lifestyle, driven by opportunity. And that, with that in mind, the fact that we're already marketing that to the community, I think that we aren't balanced in our reputation. I think we are opportunistic, and therefore we should actually be explicit about that. If we're talking about being inspired by lifestyle and driven by opportunity. In every one of our public statements about who we are as a council, we should be honest with ourselves when we talk about a risk appetite statement and say that we're opportunistic and not balanced, because I think we absolutely are opportunistic as a city, and that's the brand.
I totally have an opposite view to you on that.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I'm articulating my view because this is the forum to do so. The third is the natural environment. Natural environment, we're currently noted as conservative. And I think that from a public perspective, governments that are considered conservative when it comes to natural environment are more often of a green or quite a protective political persuasion. And I don't think we are that council. I think we are very, very good at protecting our environment. But I think our bold ambition when it comes to tourism initiatives and in particular the nature-based tourism thing ultimately precludes us from being noted as conservative there. I think we are actually, we should be balanced. I think that's the appropriate way forward for there. But they're the three that I wanted to articulate. When we had the workshop, I shared those views, and often we fell differently, but I just wanted to be on the public record that those three matters or those three categories, I don't think we've fallen in either a genuinely honest position based on what we hope to do. Not disrespectfully intended, Mr. Mayor.
No, I just don't
I
like
think these
the
are
word
subjective matters.
that you're articulating that we've got to be honest. It appears that we're being dishonest. It's just
no. What I think is that I don't think the category titles we've fallen on are reflective of our bold ambition as a city. And I appreciate you disagree. You've stated that a few times.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying that where appears to be lacking honesty, I find it offensive, that's all.
Again, I'm not trying to offend you, Mr. Mayor. I think intellectual honesty is not about integrity. I'm talking about us being, taking a look at our strategic planning and being fair and reasonable. And I use the word honest in the context of being fair and reasonable about the objectives we have and the risks we're willing to take in order to achieve those objectives. Like I said, these risk appetite statements are very subjective. Everyone comes from a different perspective. They come from different business perspectives, different ideological perspectives, different political persuasions, Mr. Mayor. And I think at this stage, those recommendations I've made would be more reflective of the bold ambitions we have as a city. Thanks.
Yes, and you can come from a different perspective, honestly. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have three comments to make. And the first one is in relation to the environment that we're just talking about. And through you, Mr. Mayor, perhaps if you could speak to how you've pulled out the element and identified that we are balanced when it comes to nature tourism, and how you feel comfortable with that recommendation with the overall conservative recommendation.
Mr. CEO?
Yeah, look, I would say that the city can maintain a conservative approach to the way it manages its environment and do nature-based tourism. In fact, I have argued, as you well know, Councillor, throughout my career as a public servant, that the more tourism you put in that is sensible and appropriate into nature-based environments, the better you are at protecting that environment, and the better the community understands the unique nature of the Gold Coast environment. You don't seek to lock it up and hide it. Instead, you roll out sensible and appropriate nature-based tourism, which is a way of, in fact, protecting the asset.
Yep. Thank you, and I'm aligned with that view. If we could, Mr. Mayor, just ask for the snapshot of the recommendations to come back on screen. It is helpful how this recommendation's been written, and I will have a change recommendation for 2I from City Resilience option A to option B to option A. What came out of the councillor workshop is that council liked the definition that we had. We thought it was tight. We thought it communicated well with the public, and I would be recommending that one that came out of councillor workshop that we said we would prefer would actually go in. I see that what the councillor workshop said as their preference has been changed. I think even though the wording is more specific in the refined wording, I think it's all there. It's all there included in the city resilience initial definition. So that's the first one. My recommendation would be we'd follow what we said in the workshop and we go back to our original. The other thing, Mr. Mayor, was one of the feedback that came out of the workshop, and I noticed it is written and confirmed in the report, was yes, probably about 3/4 of reports that were coming to council did reference risk profiling, but there was perhaps too often recognition or acknowledgement of the wrong risk profiles, not the ones that were actually reflective. And one of the particular issues was the risk profile regarding reputation. And there was discussion at the workshop as to whether it needed to be there. It is very standard for a concept of reputation to be in your risk profile. However, given the nature of our organisation, where you have an elected body and you have a city administration, when those recommendations come through, it's not necessarily helpful. I think, as was discussed at workshop, it may just be cleaner and simpler if we take it out completely, and if we don't, that a message is made very clear that this isn't your tick box in terms of risk profiling. You don't put that in with every document. It's got to be quite specific to what it's referring to.
Mr. CEO?
My board recommendation, and I think the recommendation of the city administration, is that it stays in and that we do a better job of making sure we tick the box correctly. I think it is important. You're going to hear these words a lot throughout the year, I suspect, from city officers about this good to great thing. 12 months ago, we didn't have this. The first year, we've moved into the good box right now, and we've got it. City officers are still getting used to it. I tend to agree with the essence of what you're saying, Councillor, that it has been a little bit tick box and sort of it's been done at the end of the process rather than done throughout the process in the drafting of the documents. As we get better at this, and as the team in the Matt and Rich roll this out, and we train our staff better, you're going to see a better use of the tool. And this is consistent with other organisations for which I've been involved in, where they've rolled out risk appetite, where it's sort of just, it starts as a tick and flick exercise, and then over time, as the organisation matures, it actually becomes inherent in the decision making, and that's where we want to be when I'm standing here this time next year.
Councillor Patterson.
Mr. Mayor, so thank you, and I can certainly align with that, and reputation being as is in the document, and it may just be something that we're looking at as well, and just making sure that we're achieving what we want to in terms of that report writing. But I do put to you, Mr. Mayor, my suggestion that we reflect what came out of the councillor workshop, and that I be returned back to its original definition.
Okay. Councillor Doran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of clarifying questions on 3 items. The first one's infrastructure assets, and I wanted to seek guidance as to the change of the wording levels of service from to be maintained and defined standards and maturity levels. I'm just trying to seek an understanding as what the practical implementation of that change and why that was brought about, please.
Through the chair. Infrastructure assets, from the consultation that we did chiefly internally, there was an acknowledgement that infrastructure is providing a service to the community. So we wanted to reflect some of that wording into the statements, and the sentiment was that it currently didn't follow through from infrastructure is actually providing that service to the community.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up on that. Why did we remove maturity levels? I don't understand that bit.
Sure. Maturity levels is one way of, let's say, holding ourselves accountable to how well we manage infrastructure. In line with talking with our infrastructure department, we want to move to more of a what level of service is our infrastructure providing to the community rather than maturity assessment. So they are both ways to measure, but a level of service is more appropriate, so it's more community focused.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, under the second point or category is technology and data, and it has the council moving from a balanced to an opportunistic position. just querying, does that mean that my read of that, Mr. Mayor, means that we might take some risks in relation to AI and other platforms in technology and data, and does that risk come with a cost centre that we're anticipating in the future budget?
I think you've adequately answered your question yourself. That's exactly what I've said. As these emerging technologies are coming into place, the old-fashioned conservative IT approach is simply not going to work. So I'm personally, I know the City Administration is strongly of the view that there's an opportunity to move here, and given that we're in open, I would say sort of watch this space. When we get to the budget time, you will see a shift in the technology and what we're proposing to do next year, and the budget centres around that align very much to this approach.
Thank you, Mr. One. Just the final category, Mr. Mayor, is in relation to partnerships. I presume that that's referring to the council's exploration of some public-private partnerships models. It has us moving, staying as opportunistic, but just has some slight wording change, which talks about with third parties that enhance service delivery, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering whether that does constrain the organisation for partnerships that aren't about ongoing service but are about delivery of a product.
I'll have a go first, if you like. I don't think so. I think this reflects more the approach that the city and the journey the city's been on over the last 4 years, really, which is to look at our service delivery model and look at the service partnerships that we have and see how we can best optimise those. And the one that I often raise is, I know one that's close to your heart, Councillor, is JJ Richards. It's one of the largest service providers we have in Australia, like for a council to have, and looking at, because that's well known and well understood in the community, how can we use that multi-million-dollar contract to optimise performance rather than just accept the status quo? And that's really what this is about. So it's not necessarily about just commercial arrangements either. It could be about other partners that we have who provide services like community groups, and we've actually had some of our partners in here today in the SES, for example. So I wouldn't be too fixated, Councillor, on it just being about dollars and cents. It's just really about what we should be opportunistic in the way that we work with our partners on how they deliver services in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one final question, if you mind. Just in relation to the change in the language, we do have in the original text underneath partnerships ensuring appropriate due diligence, and in the refined wording that has moved around a little bit, but it's now referred to as effective business cases is I think the replacement wording. Can you just tell me, the final question for us today is just what the effective difference do you think that would make in the evaluation of future PPPs? Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Through the chair. Councillor, in the council workshop, there was a fair bit of discussion around the what was coming through to council and assuring that effective business cases properly summarised the opportunity to enter into certain partnerships. So we felt that based on that feedback, it was a stronger statement to reflect councillors' feedback in that, to ensure that as part of being opportunistic, it means also providing effective business cases so we can be opportunistic.
Councillor Patterson.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a follow-up question relating to that, but to ask it, I'm realising it may cause a conflict of interest for me, and it is also something that I think should go into close, but it's a query that I've got around the city's current relationship to partnerships. So I'd seek your advice on how I can't advise. Maybe I'll just write it in an email to the CEO and I can just take it offline. Would that be cleaner and simpler? We don't need to do all that now. Okay, cool.
Councillor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a query. Previously, we had reputation as a singular item, and in this new statement, we've added brand, noting that reputation is balanced, and in the wording, brand is opportunistic. So I'm wondering why it's been amalgamated when it falls into different categories of risk, and if it's going to stay reputation and brand, why it's not balanced / opportunistic to indicate that there is the two different aspirations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, it's a really good question and something we obviously provided a whole lot of options around because there was a lot of feedback on this category, all the way from removing reputation to reviewing it to combining it with brand or replacing it with brand. After, I guess, combining the feedback and a lot of thought, we opted for a recommendation to have a combination. Now, reputation and brand are related, but they have got two distinct objectives, let's say, even though they do certainly cross over in the Venn diagram. We believe the sentiment from councillors in the workshop was that reputation, if it stays, probably makes sense to be balanced. But as some of the comments have come today, maybe brand is where we want to be a little more opportunistic. Now, we may or may not have got that wrong, and obviously that's open for discussion today. But from the feedback, we sought that, opportunistic was a little more appropriate for brand. Now, to your point around should we have kind of a joint level, we have done this for other categories with, let's just say, for infrastructure. We've got a balanced risk appetite for infrastructure, but we've specifically called out for critical infrastructure, we're more conservative. And same with technology and data, we're opportunistic, but it'd be silly to say we're opportunistic, but we've also made sure we've called out for critical systems and critical personal data that we're more conservative. So some of the statements, it's important to inject where we will not take risk, but overarching, the category fits the theme of either balanced, opportunistic or conservative. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, councillors. Councillor Young?
Yeah,
you'll have to stand up. We're in open.
Pardon me?
Could you please stand up? We're in open.
Beg your pardon. Mr. Mayor, just want to draw your attention to community inclusion and consultation on page 44 of the document. The preferred or the recommended option is, the wording is a little bit clumsy in my opinion. It talks about the city values community feedback and experiences, focusing on consultation. If you look at the original wording, you can see where the word experiences come into it and the focus on consultation, but beforehand it was delineated. It just seems clumsy. I don't know what that means. The city values community feedback and experiences. I wondered if that might justify a little bit of nuancing.
No, I don't know the answer. Through the chair, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, it's a fair point. When we dealt with our community team, there's obviously a little bit of a shift in how we are doing community consultation following a framework. Some of the wording is reflective of that in terms of community feedback and experiences. Acknowledge the wording might need a tweak, but hope that the words there at least reflect the general consensus of what council would expect in that category.
To respond, I don't have a problem with the collection of words as such. I just don't think it reads very well, Mr. Mayor, if you take my point.
All right.
I don't have an alternative to suggest.
Okay. All right, councillors, I move the officer's recommendation. Seconder, Councillor Peter Young. Councillor Patterson, you wanted to move an amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for 2I, to change that from City Resilience option B to option A, and that is just holding the definition, keeping the same risk profile, but holding the definition that was proposed by councillors at workshop.
So, are you happy with that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, you want to speak on that?
Not at the moment. I think I have enough.
Okay.
Oh, have I? If it's not clear, I will.
No, it's up to you. You've moved an amended motion. Okay, cool. It's your time to speak on it, now or never.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You can stand up too.
I am speaking on it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, City Resilience, the definition that that was there prior is tight, and this is an open public document. So we want one that speaks to our public as well as to our internal stakeholders. It does cover all the relevant information in terms of preventing the work that we do in prevention, as well as follow-up and disaster management. But it's just simple, it's clean, and councillors at the workshop were aligned and thought that was the best way to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councillors, I'll speak on the close, being the mover. I think they've done a great start with the platform they've laid out. There's no doubt about it, and it's good. And we're going for great. Right? And with a good start like this, I would like to back the officers so that so they've set the benchmark, and then we can really follow through with that and see in a snapshot when we will be revisiting this. Probably 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, 12 months, then, you know, all right, so that we can actually pull this out. And for me, in that journey, I would understand this a lot more too, instead of well, I would understand it more, and for us to back them to absolutely deliver us and take us to the great level. So that's why, quite put simply, looking at it all, they've got 90+% right, and that's the reasoning why I've gone that way. I put the motion to you. It's an amended motion moved by Councillor Patterson. Do I have a seconder? No need for a seconder?
There's definitely a need, but I'm not here.
Yeah, is there a seconder? Councillor Wilkinson. Rightio. The vote's on the amended motion. All in favour, show of hands. Against?
Clear as mud.
The amended motion becomes the motion. And Councillor Patterson, you want to speak further?
I would just like to take the opportunity to acknowledge Richie, Matthew, Paul Callender and the team for taking us on this journey. So we started and really looked at risk profiling for our city 12 months ago, and it's a great way of the council communicating with the administration on our strategic intent, and it also gives us a lens whenever reports come back as, okay, this is what we're thinking. It doesn't mean that we don't go outside that risk profiling. We may make a decision that isn't aligned with that, but it just gives us a framework to work in. So thanks again for your work on it, and we'll see it again in another 12 months. Cheers.
Okay, speaking against, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whilst I articulated my view before, and I think these matters are relatively subjective, I'm conscious that the way that Council is proposing to fall when it comes to risk appetite wouldn't enable me to support projects and strategies that I think are critical for our city to move forward. With that in mind, I can't vote against the motion. I can't vote with the motion in its current form. But I do love this idea that the risk appetite statement is helping us inform decision making. And the team and I have talked about this over many workshops and meetings, even just council consultations. And I feel, obviously my personal convictions are different than what's in the broader council at the moment. But in this case, I can't support it. And frankly, I think we need to. We do need to be very careful with the way we set the tone for our community's perception of what we care about, which is what this risk appetite statement does. I'm concerned that we are miscommunicating our ambition for the city we hope for. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone speak for? Back to Councillor Patterson to close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm complete with that. Thank you.
All right. Division's call. All in favour, show of hands.
Mayor Tate, Councillor Young, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Hemmel, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Gates, Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Patterson, Councillor Martin, Councillor LaCastra, Councillor Doran, Councillor Marshall, Councillor O'Neill.
Against?
Councillor Tozer.
Carried, supermajority. Thank you for your presentation. 16.4, Queensland Audit Office final report. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, councillors, before you is the 2005 final management report from the Queensland Audit Office. What you have before you is a report that is very good. There are a couple of issues. It seems to be the theme of the day. If you have a look at the report, you'll see that there is one deficiency and one, get my language right, financial reporting issue, which has been ranked at low. I'd like you all to consider how big and complex this organisation is and how large an effort and how big the task is to produce the financial statements. I'd like to let you know that this year the count of one deficiency, which is the least of the deficiencies, you can have a significant deficiency, we've only had one, and one issue which is at the lowest is one of, if not the best years we've had on record, so we are improving. In relation to the two issues that have been found, the first one, which is, as I mentioned, is a deficiency, was to do with the process we use when a capital work is finished and moving it over onto our asset register, right? And the Audit Office have said that we're taking too long to do that. They've recommended a series of actions which we will undertake, and we are ready to have them done by the end of this financial year. The second, the financial reporting issues, there are three separate occasions where we submitted the financials and they've found three issues. Now, in those issues were found, they were rectified, and the actual financials were, when they were submitted, were corrected. My message to all of you is that is the process of assurance that we use. That's how it's supposed to work. We gave them a set of draft reports. They gave us a series of issues. We fixed them when we moved on. We will put in place checks to make sure that happens in the future. But overall, this is really good news for the city. This is an example of how our insurance is working. It's an example about how the Risk and Audit Committee is working and how Queensland Audit are doing their job. But I want to end, Mr Mayor, where I started. This is, in my opinion, and I think the Queensland Audit Office's opinion, having met with the Auditor General, the most complex set of financials of any local government in Australia, if you consider that Brisbane don't have a water business and we have a water business to run. So to have a set of reports that are almost clean, about as clean as this, is a great example of how we have moved from good and we're on our way to great when it comes to the production of these financial statements.
Okay. Move, Councillor Patterson. Second, Councillor Wilkinson. Question, Councillor Young.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'll just start by saying congratulations to the CEO and his team for an excellent set of records. I just wanted to ask about that transfer of goods to the asset database. You mentioned a time lag, and what is that going to be?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I could dive into the detail. We could get the director out, but the short version is the Queensland Audit Office would like us to do that quicker. They've made a series of recommendations for how we do that, and we will have those recommendations in place by the end of the financial year.
Is that good enough?
We can get Karen to explain.
Well, Karen's come in, so I might ask the question a bit more specifically. Okay. Thanks, Mr Mayor. So, obviously, we construct goods and then that gets transferred to the asset register, and there's a concern about the time delay. What was it and what will it be, please?
Through the Mayor. So the process is, as there's a project undertaken, we expense everything to what's called WIP, work in progress. When the project is finalised, that's when it gets capitalised and taken to the property, plant and equipment and depreciated. The QAO had some concerns around some of the late capitalised assets taken from WIP onto property, plant and equipment, which relates to when we get the as-constructed drawings to be able to determine the breakdown of the property, plant and equipment to record into the property, plant and equipment register.
If I might. So was it a fact that in the past it would take 2 years for things to get onto that register, or was it just a matter of months?
Mr CEO?
Yeah, so again, having spoken to the Auditor General, it's about trying to get it done within the financial year for which it occurred. So sometimes that was taking longer, and that's why it's not appearing in the reports, and that's why they've found the issue. So the recommendations they've put in place are designed to enable us to be able to get, wherever humanly possible, work that was completed in a financial year to appear in the financial statements of that year. That's the issuing.
Thanks, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you. So for longer projects, 1, 2, 3 years, that width, will that be progressively transferred over the amount of work at that particular point per year, or is it only done at the end of the whole project?
Mr. CEO?
It's a case-by-case basis, Councillor. It depends on the nature of the asset. Where it's possible to do it, yes. Just also, I know, for everyone watching, we're talking about $1 billion worth of work a year, and if you actually look at the numbers, they are at the margins of that, but Queensland Audit Office are within their rights to make their recommendations. It's why they've said it's the lowest possible deficiency. To answer your question specifically, it depends on the asset class. And if it is possible, we do it.
Right. Councillor Patterson, speak on the motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Queensland Audit Office requires these documents to be moved in a full council meeting rather than a committee meeting, and that is so that it is transparent and it's available. I echo the CEO's comments that this is a very solid report, and I think the rigour that we're looking at some very low risk matters, is testament to the transparency that we're committed to here. The Queensland Audit Office representatives on the Audit and Risk Committee are very active in that committee, and they have mentioned a number of times how they really appreciate a very kind of straight-talking Audit and Risk Committee and working with officers to come up with what they need. So thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CFO and the CEO for the work. And we'll see the next one. Cheers.
Against the motion? Councillor Patterson to close.
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried, unanimous. 16.5 is in grey. Yep. Move, Councillor Gates, seconder. Councillor Fowler. Councillor Gates, you want to speak for?
Very briefly, Mr. Mayor, it is a closed item, but it was an initiative of the city to offer for just 1 year only some vehicles for community use. The opportunity was very well received by the community. The report's quite clear that it's time now to get those vehicles to market and get a return on them while the greatest opportunity for council to recover some dollars exists. It will be possible for groups to make a purchase at market value, and that will satisfy any of the groups that wish to keep their vehicles. So I'm not sure I was even allowed to say that, but I've said it.
It's in a resolution. Be safe.
And I think, all in all, I think we've all been very pleased with the results of the initiative.
Anyone want to speak against? Councillor Gates, you want to close further? All in favour, show of hands. Against? Carried unanimously. As there's no other, meeting closed at 13:49. Councillor Fowler, you can go.